A leaked drone quietly signals a shift in how immersive aerial footage may soon be captured. DJI's Avata 360 appears as the company's first serious move into consumer 360-degree FPV flight, and recent leaks suggest this is far more than a concept. Retail listings, promotional images, and regulatory filings all point to a real product approaching launch. It matters now because creators want full immersion without added complexity, and the decision forming is whether this becomes a mainstream creative tool or remains a niche experiment. Multiple leaks point toward an early 2026 release window, reinforced by a report of FCC approval completed in late 2025. That timing explains why retail bundles and pre-order style listings briefly appeared online before being pulled. The intent feels clear. This is not built for racing or raw speed. It is aimed squarely at immersive storytellers who want freedom in post-production while keeping the adrenaline of FPV flight. DJI is not casually entering the 360 space. It is positioning itself directly against the category leader. Right now, Insta360 dominates consumer 360-degree action and aerial creativity, especially with products like the Antigravity A1 setting expectations around resolution and reframing flexibility. The Avata 360 looks like DJI's response, but with familiar advantages layered on top. DJI's stabilization pipeline, mature FPV ecosystem, and proven low-latency video links immediately change how usable 360 footage becomes. This feels less like an experiment and more like a strategic countermove. At the center of that challenge is the camera system. Leaks consistently point to a dual-lens 360 setup capable of 5.7K capture, with some sources suggesting DJI may push higher toward 8K to stay competitive. That resolution matters because it directly affects creative freedom. Higher detail allows aggressive reframing, horizon correction, and digital stabilization without visibly degrading quality. A single flight can generate multiple usable angles, removing the pressure to frame perfectly in the air. That shift changes how FPV footage is captured. Misframing stops being a critical mistake. Horizon leveling and cinematic smoothing are expected to manage the chaos of FPV motion, turning fast dives and tight turns into footage that still feels deliberate. The flying can stay aggressive while the final output looks composed, which is exactly what immersive creators have been asking for. Flight behavior appears to build on familiar Avata DNA. Leaks suggest the Avata 360 retains full compatibility with DJI FPV goggles and existing controllers, offering a low-latency live feed creators already trust. That makes indoor spaces, narrow corridors, and complex fly-through shots far more practical than with traditional drones. It opens locations that are usually avoided because of risk or setup complexity. Protective propeller guards reinforce that accessibility. The design suggests DJI wants this flown close to people and objects, not just wide open spaces. Beginners gain confidence flying indoors or near structures, while experienced pilots retain manual control and FPV responsiveness. The balance is safety without removing the thrill, which broadens who can realistically use it. One rumored detail stands out above all others. A takeoff weight under 250 grams would dramatically reduce regulatory friction in many regions. Fewer registration requirements, easier travel, and fewer restrictions change where and how often the drone can fly. Delivering full 360-degree FPV capability at that weight would represent a major engineering achievement and a meaningful advantage over heavier competitors. Software and AI features appear designed to collapse the workflow even further. Integration with DJI's flight platform hints at assisted path smoothing and optional obstacle awareness layered over FPV control. Automatic 360 stitching is the most critical element. Fly, land, and edit immediately without manual stitching or complex desktop workflows. That single change saves hours and lowers the barrier for creators moving into immersive content. Pricing is where hesitation enters the picture. Early estimates cluster around $1,100 for a base kit, with higher-end bundles reaching closer to $1,900. Whether goggles and controllers are included will heavily influence perceived value. For existing DJI users, reuse of current gear can make the package far more attractive. For new buyers, the total ecosystem cost becomes a serious consideration. There are risks that remain unresolved. Battery life is an open question, as 360 cameras and FPV systems both demand significant power. Heat management, onboard storage speed, and real-world flight times will ultimately determine how practical the drone feels beyond short showcase flights. Competitors are not standing still, and the 360 drone category is evolving quickly. The target audience, however, is already clear. FPV filmmakers, travel creators, YouTubers, and VR storytellers stand to gain the most. Racers and still photographers are unlikely to see it as a priority. This is a creative tool first, not a performance machine. If the Avata 360 launch is close to what these leaks suggest, immersive drone content changes almost overnight. The gap between flying and finished footage collapses. For creators who value flexibility, reframing, and storytelling over raw speed, the decision becomes straightforward.